It's been very active lately. 2 days ago, we had Hurricane Otis down there in the Eastern Pacific, expected to make landfall as a Category 1, but it defied all odds and had its own plans and rapidly exploded. And the last 12 hours, increasing 80 mile per hour in winds to make landfall as a 165 mile per hour Category 5 hurricane. It'll go down in the history books as the most rapidly expanded increasing hurricane in history in that short amount of time. And obviously those areas in Acapulco just was not prepared for that and just did devastating damage across those regions. And unfortunately, many lives were lost within that region. And then as we moved northward overnight last night, some of that remnants down there spread into Texas along with this upper level low that came in from the west. And once it hits Texas, it actually stalled into the overnight hours for several hours, and that left with 2-inch per hour rainfall rates. That left a good swath of 4 to 8 inches of rain. In fact, some isolated amounts were actually 10 inches in portions of central and north Texas, getting into southern Oklahoma. And then even further to the north, we had our first initial colder air mass of the season spread into the US, and that's leaving some very heavy snow in its wake. In fact, some of the higher terrain picked up 1 to 2 feet of snow already, and there's actually more additional snow on the way, and there's be a secondary surge that will bring the snow line even further south as we get towards deeper into the weekend. And I'm pretty excited because I actually have my own PAL weather app now. You can literally have PAL in a pocket. I actually have it on both devices too, the Android as well as the Apple. So you can go to the store and download it for yourself, or you can go to this quick convenient link in the description below. You can click on it and download it for yourself. And if you hadn't subscribed to my channel already, please do so. I do daily updates on this channel. So let's take a look at the setup going forward, because we actually have 2 strong cold fronts to talk about. So the first one is not as intense. It's kind of like the teaser front, if you will, but there's going to be a sharp gradient in temperature contrast for, late October standards. And that sharp gradient is going to be well into the 80s if you're further south into the southeast and much of the Ohio Valley and getting into the mid-Atlantic regions. Then further north, that's where the colder air mass is originating, and where that snowpack is, that's the temperatures really do start to tumble. And along that first front, you are going to get more rain across these same areas that get hit hard last night. So they're definitely going to be eating away the drought big time and making a major dent in the drought by the time it updates next week. And so they're looking at more heavy rain across these this same region. And then we'll have that second surge of even colder air. This is definitely going to be the most potent, and this promises to drop all the way down and head into Mexico, believe it or not. But yes, further up to the north, we'll be looking at some of the coldest temperatures so far we've seen, this fall. And that will start to make a beeline as we get into the weekend. So by the time we head into that Saturday afternoon, there's that secondary surge. That ahead of it will bring in more rain, right? So these areas, first we couldn't start the tap, now we can't end it because we still have more rain. It's almost a daily occurrence across these regions along another front. That's going to provide the lift mechanism to produce showers and thunderstorms right along that front. And then back behind the colder front, that's going to produce even a more renewed snowpack across these regions further south into Dakotas, and eventually that will head into Nebraska and heading into all the way into portions of Kansas, believe it or not. And then going into Sunday, it's going to be another slow moving system with that cold front coming diving south, and that's going to produce another swath of heavier rains over the kind of the same general areas that got hit hard last night. So these areas again could pick up another 1 to 3 inch swath from southwest to southwest Texas all the way through into Arkansas, as all the way up into portions of Illinois. So definitely be on the lookout. Ahead of it is just going to be a chilly, raw day. In fact, it's going to be so cold that some of that could actually fall in the form of sleet. That orange is That's sleet, and that's actually pretty significant for the end of October to have sleet just so far south. But that gives you an idea of how cold this air mass truly is for October standards, as that sleet will start to fall in a good part of Kansas and even western Oklahoma and even portions of the Texas Panhandle, while further south they've got kind of a chillier rain across a good part of Texas, through Missouri, through Illinois, back into Indiana, as well as Ohio. And that actually filters into Pennsylvania, heading up into New Jersey. And then, of course, back behind that, even further north, that's where the snow line is going to be. But you can tell this is definitely a colder air mass, because that's a 1044 Arctic high pressure, and that's going to be in business. And eventually, going to be drying you guys out and leave some of the areas of a first freeze, especially areas further south. But look at the sleet that could unfold over the next, couple of days along these two cold fronts diving southbound. So yeah, there's a pocket of sleet in the morning hours, could unfold across the Texas Panhandle all the way through portions of Missouri. So definitely be on the lookout for that, because I know you're probably not expecting that for late October. But yeah, this cold front means business, because there's where it could possibly be by the time we head into Sunday afternoon. Cold fronts are pretty dense, it's pretty shallow, and they typically travel faster than what some of the models are picking up on. And this is the latest NAM. This is a high resolution. Now it's within guidance, because you can only go out 84 hours with this particular model. But this one truly depicts on the colder temperatures, as we're looking at freezing temperatures in the Texas Panhandle, into the Amarillo region, into Sunday afternoon. And those are widespread 30s back there in Kansas and Nebraska, that freezing line where the snow potentially will be falling. Obviously, that adds to that colder pack and will drop those temperatures even another 5 to 10 degrees. And then, of course, further south, you're still well into the 80s, but I don't think too many people actually miss out on this actual cold front coming this way. But the thing about Sunday going into Monday, we're still going to have to contend with heavier rain, because you're going to have additional lift up, along these fronts. And yes, producing more heavy rain through Texas again. Now it finally extends into portions of Louisiana, back into Arkansas. That gets into the Tennessee region, into portions of Kentucky, into West Virginia, and then that will swing all as well in portions of Pennsylvania, getting up into the DC region and back into portions of New Jersey, eventually heading into Long Island areas, as that cold front will continue to dive southbound. So as you wake up on Halloween morning, this red line, that is your freezing line, right? It's dipping all the way down into Oklahoma. But you can see what's behind that, right? It's pretty clear sky. So it's pretty active until really Halloween. And that's the good thing. It kind of really dries out for a lot of you guys behind that front. So by the time we actually head into that first day of November 1st, it's a good part of the country is dry. It's on the drier side. And because of that, you'll have clearer skies. And that is going to allow those temperatures to drop like a rock. So things will start to clear out. And a lot of these areas are going to experience their first freeze of the season, and maybe as in far south as even northern portions of Georgia and Alabama regions. Definitely likely in Kentucky, definitely likely in Oklahoma region, probably likely northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, say in the Wichita Falls region. Probably not at really the DFW airport, but likely in the outlying areas. Definitely could see a freeze by the time we head into that Wednesday time frame. So nonetheless, this is a pretty significant cold blast, definitely on the way, and that will continue into the first couple of days of November. So once that sets its sight on the further south, it will swing southward and tend to moderate as it pushes eastbound. So really the only people that really get missed out on the action is really a good part of Florida. They don't really feel the brunt of this colder air mass, but everybody else really will, but besides portions of the far extreme West Coast regions. But yeah, definitely you're going to feel this in a big way, because it definitely has some higher winds associated with it as well, right along those cold fronts. So the wind chills are going to be even colder than what I displayed. But what's going to happen behind that, it's going to be a fairly quieter week going into next week. So fairly active between now and then, especially on Monday. And then definitely by Tuesday for your trick-or-treaters, it starts to dry out, clear out. That's why we drop and bottom out. And then we'll start to, those temperatures will start to moderate as we get deeper into the next week. But here's your rain swath between now and then. This will likely go in through, you know, Wednesday, November the 1st time frame. So this is additional rain. This is not what I'm just showing you combined. This is additional rain from now through that Halloween time frame. Notice out west, not much to speak of, not much precipitation underneath those clouds. But yes, further south, the combination of these cold fronts and more lift across these regions, the air mass is pretty soupy. The humidities are basically 100%. So it's not going to be taking much to wring out the precipitation across these regions. So easy another 1 to 3. Wouldn't be surprised to get another, you know, even some 5-inch totals across these regions that already got hit hard with heavier rains. And notice down in the southeast, you really kind of miss out on this deal. You get the cold front eventually as more, you know, as it more moderated by then, but you don't really get much action on as far as the precipitation front, and you just kind of get a glancing blow of some of that colder air on this particular front. But look at the snow that's still going to unfold. So we've already had some pretty good snow amounts across this region. So this is the compounding, the residual that's going to be left over from that first initial snowstorm that goes through Friday. And then we'll have our weekend snows, that renewed threat of snows that's going to be pulling in on the backside with that colder, sharper, stronger cold front. Will drop the snow line even further south. So in the Rockies, you'll start picking up some beneficial rain, beneficial snows for your ski lovers. And then even the Denver region likely start to see snow across that region. And that snow will spread into the Omaha, Nebraska region and likely spread into portions of Iowa. And then further south, it's going to be a little bit of that sleet transferring into Kansas, that western panhandle of Oklahoma, as well as in portions of the Texas panhandle by then. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely watch my winter forecast after this update and catch the next update. Wire protect you for and after the storm.